Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for your patience. It is Monday, September 8th. Welcome to our quarterly membership meeting for the Perinatal Collaborative of Pierce County. I am Jax Hermer, the chair of the Perinatal Collaborative, and it is a joy to be with you today. Next slide, please. As a review of what we'll be discussing today, we'll share a land acknowledgement in a moment. And then Erin Summa from Mary Bridge Children's Hospital and Multicare Health Services will be here to talk about Baby Safety Awareness Month and preventing injuries in the homes of our young ones. And then we have three organizations that are offering new and not new services to our county that we want to make sure everyone knows about and can help link appropriate folks to those services. And so we'll be giving them each some time to share about what they're doing. And as a reminder, this is a new and ongoing segment we're calling Perinatal Shoutouts, or PS. So if you and your agency have a program or service that you want to promote, please let me know. Email me or let me know in the chat and we'll get you on the next agenda. We would love to give everyone an opportunity to share what they're doing and share their good work, and be able to help get families to their services. And then we're going to end today with giving you some quick first time look into our upcoming conference on October 23rd. We are excited to share this with you. We are launching today our registration before anyone else gets to see it. So we are excited to share that with you. Next slide, please. As a reminder, if you are not speaking, please turn your cameras and mics off. All the speakers will give opportunity for questions at the end. Go ahead and put things in the chat if they're burning. We do record all of our meetings and presentations and post them to our website. That's tpchd.org/PCPC. All of our stuff is embedded in the health department site, not because we are a project of the health department, but because the health department fronts our communications work. And so that's where it is. But we are an independent 501c3 nonprofit organization. And you can find out more information at our website about our upcoming conference, about our committees, and other things that we're doing that we would love to share with you. Next slide, please. All right, without further ado, Johanna is going to share this video. I will go off mute, and when I come back, I will introduce Erin.
Arti duf arti swatwiftud atis poyalapaj, a slathasil, alti disha to alturi tuha.
It is the land right here that the Puyallup people have lived on since the beginning.
This
right here is where we are in the world, our homelands.
Uyayushas altiswa tufted atishu ishachas. Ukachachas tis badadachas. Uoch twatihalalt altiswa tufted atis Puyallupaj.
We work on our ancestral lands. We raise our children who go to school on the land of the Puyallup people.
Ohegwad chas ti shwananam tliti, ohashitab ti pas pasted okweredu.
We acknowledge that the Medicine Creek Treaty was signed for the whites to take our land for their benefit.
Ohashitab chas atis shwananam tliti atis swatwiftud chas. Otsuti pas pasted squat lup swatwiftud lup.
Land was assigned to our people. The Caucasians said, "This is your land," and they took that land from us too.
Odzak Atub Teeth Tliti.
Our land was stolen from us. Treaties were broken.
Toch didit chas a tislachel.
But we are still here today.
Tu hui chasa tu kwelin chasa tu ish chasa tu alalos chasa tu tol shot sidam.
Our people foraged for food and materials, we pick berries, we canoe, we practice our traditional ways, and we speak Twelshutsi.
Just as our ancestors did.
Oya chas.
We are finished.
All right, thank you, Johanna. I'd love to introduce Erin Summer from Multicare and Mary Bridge.
Thank you. Hey everybody. Happy Baby Safety Month. Every September is Baby Safety Month. And I have two big hopes for today, I'll say. The first thing is that I hope that not all of this is new to you and that you guys do have a basic grasp of infant safety messaging, as I know parents are already looking to you for that kind of expertise. But I also hope that some of it is new for you. I want this time together to be valuable. And I kind of imagine that different people are going to pull different new information from the presentation today. That's what I envision. Feel free to pop it in the chat if you have an aha moment as we go through. I've got 40 minutes and a lot of tips to share. So actually, wait, what was I should do? I should also introduce myself, right? There's my name's right there on the front. She did say my name is Erin Suma. I am the program manager for injury prevention at Mary Bridge Children's Hospital Center for Childhood Safety. Been here for 19 years, have been a car seat tech for 26 years, and the car seat tech certification has only existed for 27. So I've been doing this a long time. So hopefully we'll come up with some fun stuff to share today. Go ahead and change the slide. Alrighty, so first, just an acknowledgement. Yes, accidents are going to happen. Sometimes I feel like I sound like the fun police as I talk about various ways of keeping kids safe, and I do not want to come off that way at all. I want kids to go out there and have fun. I want us to do these amazingly fun things with our kids, and I just want us to learn some lessons from along the way. Bumps and bruises are part of it. That's going to happen. I'm not about eliminating all risk. And kids are, again, very creative at finding ways to hurt themselves and usually are fine, which is great. But when you look at the data, unintentional injury is the leading cause of death for kids. And that's not nothing. And we do find that the most serious and our fatal injuries tend to follow really predictable patterns over and over and over again, happening the same way. So that gives us a lot of information about how to prevent them, right? So that's the piece I want to go with. When we talk about the really big things, not necessarily the kiddo falling off the bike there in the picture and getting a bruise and needing a little kiss on his boo-boo there, but the really serious stuff where kids don't necessarily bounce back. Okay, next slide. But before I show you the data, I just want to have a quick nudge on this topic called survivorship bias. And I don't know if you've heard of this, but it is a very common, very natural and normal reaction that we all have. And it's this logic error of focusing on the successes and ignoring the failures, as if the successes was the whole thing. If you're my age, this kind of thing will show up in your social media feed in the form of a list of things that back in our day, we didn't have to worry about helmets. We didn't have to worry about whatever, insert safety intervention here, and we're fine. And then a bunch of comments going, yeah, we're fine. Why are we doing all that? It's like, well, who's not chiming in? The ones who didn't make it, right? So we're in this echo chamber of all the people who made it. Yeah, yes, I'm so glad we did. But we learned from the kids who didn't. Right. So if you find yourself at any point having that kind of knee jerk, like eye rolly kind of, what, you want me to wear a helmet for skiing now? Note it, kind of put a pin in it and go, okay, yeah, I see what I'm doing here. And maybe I need to kind of evaluate this a little bit more closely and more clearly. So just want to start there before we go in, because at some point in my talk, usually somebody is going to feel a compulsive eye roll in there somewhere. So I'm just going to put it out there to start with. Okay, next slide. All right, so looking at the national level data, this is the most current chart from the CDC with the leading causes of death separated out by age group. And I want to call your attention to the blue boxes because the blue box is unintentional injury, right? So across the spectrum, but particularly among the young, unintentional injury is by far the leading cause of death. And even if we looked at that first column, that under one, if we were to parse that a little bit more specifically and say like 1 month and up, unintentional injury would rise, right? Because a lot of those types of fatalities that happen with infants happen early, things with the birth defects and prematurity and things like that. So really from 1 month in age up to age 44, we can say that unintentional injury is the leading cause of death. So worth spending a little time on. Okay, next slide. But today we are the Perinatal Collaborative and it is Baby Safety Month. And so today we're really going to be focusing on the infants, the ones that you guys are, the families that you guys are working with. And so this gives you an idea of the leading cause of fatal injuries for infants, largely suffocation. So I'm going to start there and we're going to talk about the various ways that that can happen. But it's also car crashes, it's also drownings, it's also poisonings, it's also kind of other things. And I just kind of threw in there bottom because this is just about fatalities. The leading cause of non-fatal injury hospitalization is falls. So I'm going to touch on that as well. But these are the big topics we'll talk on today. Okay, next slide. Alrighty, so childproofing 101. A lot of this hopefully is familiar to you, right? It starts with just getting down on the same level as the child. Get down where they are, see what they can see. The world looks different, right? And look for where those potential dangers are going to be. I want your eyes looking for outlets, stairs, poisons, maybe like we're keeping household poisons kind of too low behind a cabinet that they can get to. Is there water within their reach? Toilets indoors? Maybe a baby bath, baby outdoor pool that didn't get flipped over and in the winter is collecting rain. There's various places where things can be that you're not necessarily thinking about. I want your eyes kind of go into those things. Windows, firearms, if those are in your home, ways to get burns or fire hazards. And the idea is that you want to block access to these various things. And so we're going to hit on some of these as we talk through today, but these are the big picture things I want you guys thinking about. When it comes to windows, it's not only window falls, which I'll talk about, but also window cords. So if you've got blinds, they make now ones that have no cords at all. That would be great. If yours happens to have cords, we want you to either tie it up out of reach. Sometimes you can just cut them. And if they're not something that is, that you need them functionally, but make sure that the kiddos can't get to them because those can be a strangulation risk. Looking at furniture, right? We've got furniture that's heavy, furniture that's tall. We've got flat screen TVs that are very, very tippy. So these various types of things I want you looking for, and they make brackets so that you can kind of attach those to the walls so those don't fall down and hurt your kiddos. And then keeping an eye out for like sharp edges and corners, fireplaces, things like that, that you can pad for kids who might fall directly on something that might really hurt them. These are kind of the big picture things that hopefully are things that are kind of on your mind already, either as a professional or as a parent yourself. As we go through. Alrighty, next slide. All right, so the first big subject that we saw on that list of reasons fatalities for kids in that first year was suffocation. So I want to start with choking and airway obstruction, right? Something that's going to keep them from being able to get air. And this is really important because without oxygen, brain damage can occur within 4 minutes, and 2/3 of choking victims are under 1 year old. So it is worth kind of for our babies, kind of especially as they start getting mobile, being thoughtful of these things. They tend to fall in two big categories that we see are food hazards. So we're actually wanting them to put something in their mouth, right? That thing, but make sure that thing is small. So cutting our food up small, especially if it's something that started out round, like the perfect size of their esophagus, things like hot dogs, grapes, things like that in particular. But there's also the hard and sticky things, popcorn, gums, marshmallows, all that kind of stuff is not recommended for young kids until they're at least 4 years old. You know your kid. If it needs to be longer than that, it needs to be longer than that. And have them eat like at the table in their high chair, not necessarily as they're walking around. Get that to be part of the habit for kids. And that helps a lot. Toy hazards is the other big category. And part of this is for a lot of families, it's when you have more than one child and you've got the older child who has the toys with the small pieces. And then you have the younger child who really should be nowhere near those toys. So finding a way to kind of keep those things separate so the little kid can't get near the big kid toys. You'll often see warning labels on a box that says 3 and up. And you're looking at it and you're like, my 2-year-old can developmentally do that. And you might be very much right. The reason they're saying 3 and up is because of the small pieces, right? So be really mindful of those kind of packaging on toys, and if they say it, they mean it. So keep those things in mind. The biggest things we're seeing in terms of dangerous toy choking hazards: balloons, balls, marbles, coins. Balloons, honestly, is because um, things like the Heimlich maneuver and choking rescue don't really work on balloon parts, right? As they kind of get stuck in their throat. So that's a really big one. But generally speaking, I do think that although I want you to have this area be safe for your kiddo, learn CPR, learn choking rescue, do the things that you need to do to make sure that you can also respond in that moment. Next slide. There are some uniquely dangerous ingestion hazards that we see that I want you to really watch for, and maybe you haven't thought about. Button batteries, or those flat, round batteries that you'll find in small electronics, musical greeting cards, candles, various things. And the problem is burning. So you can see what happens when it's just spent a couple of hours on that slice of ham, which, is like what would happen if it was in their esophagus or kind of got into their GI tract. It can cause significant burns. If you're looking at the magnets, swallowing one is a problem, but swallowing two is a really big problem because they land in different places in your GI system and then pull towards each other and actually can cause a perforation. So that can be a really big issue. And watch for water beads. They're like a fun toy, and there are places like preschools want to have these for kids to play with because they're fun, but they start out really tiny. And when you put them in water, they swell to like 100 times their size. So when kiddos ingest those, you kind of get a sick picture here, like how many are in that particular slide for that kiddo that not X-ray. They're very dangerous. So you really want to be careful that these things aren't necessarily would be things you think about to make sure you watch for them. Next slide. If you've heard me talk about suffocation, you've probably heard me talk about this. This is a topic I talk about a lot. Some of you heard my presentation last week. Sleep-related suffocations is what we really are seeing that first year. And so there are prevention strategies for that. I'm going to hit the high points. This is a bigger subject, but just the basic review is what we call the ABCs of safe sleep. And that's that babies sleep safest when they are alone on their back in a safe crib. So I want them to be the only one in their sleep space. Having them in mom or dad's room is great and actually has some protective effects of having the bassinet in the bedroom with you, but don't bring them into your bed. Bringing them into our bed actually increases our risk by quite a lot. It's actually the leading cause of a sleep-related accident in those first 4 months of life. Putting them on their back for every sleep is important in a crib, bassinet, pack and play, something that meets federal safety standards for sleep, right? It's firm, it's flat, it's non-inclined. It's just got a fitted sheet and a baby wearing what they need to wear. And that's it. Okay. Watch the overheating, especially as we head into the winter months. We have this kind of compulsion as parents to kind of bundle babies up and turn our heats up, and just keep the house comfortable for you. Dress the baby for the temperature they're in. Typically, that means one more layer than you would need, and not necessarily more than that. So we want to make sure they're actually able to keep their own temperature regulated well. And notice that the baby does not have a hat on. We don't want babies wearing hats indoors once they're home from the hospital, because again, we want them to be able to lose heat through there. So shout out, little wave to my little great niece Paisley for modeling for this photo for us. Keeping babies' areas smoke-free is important for lots of reasons, but it also impacts their ability to survive sleep. So anything you can do to help your families you work with cut down, quit when it comes to smoking, vaping, any of that is a good thing. Our website is there if you want more information. There's a lot more we can talk about with this. You can always reach out to me, and I'm happy to kind of hit on this issue with you. Okay, next slide. Okay, just a little bit more of the data on our sleep related. It's really quite big. If you think of that, 3,700 infants in the US die from unsafe sleep every year. If I was to count up how many kids died from car crashes, drowning, and firearms all together, and I didn't just look at infants, I looked from 0 up to age 14, it would be just under 3,000, right? 3 different things that hurt kids, 15 years of ages, less than the amount that we lose to unsafe sleep just for babies. So again, this is why I hit this point really hard. So make sure when you're talking to families, no adult beds, no inclined sleepers, no loose blankets or soft items in their crib, no weighted sleep sacks or blankets, making sure if they're holding baby, they need to stay awake for holding baby. When they're sleepy, it's time to put baby down in a safe sleep environment or pass them along to someone else if someone else is home to take a turn. If they're in a car seat, taking them out when you get home. So again, they don't have that kind of elevated surface. It can make it harder for them to kind of keep their head up. And once baby is showing signs that it's ready to roll over, that's when we want to make sure the swaddling is done. Worst case scenario is a baby who's swaddled their arms down and then rolls kind of face down into the mattress without a ability to kind of get themselves back up there. So these are the basic kind of tips that we want to go through with families, not in a kind of like I just did with you, because that's me talking to you and giving you the information. When we talk to families, have it be a conversation, have it be asking them what they know, have it be kind of asking them what their plans are, and then to kind of bring in your little tips as you can as you go through to try and help them take what they were going to do already and tell them how great they're doing, and then say, here's a few things you can do to make it even better. Right. So I want to kind of always approach this with the utmost kind of respect for families and their practices, and just help them do the best they can possibly do with some of this information that we have learned. Awesome. Next slide. All righty. If you have not heard me talk about safe sleep and you've heard me talk before, it's probably been about car seats. So I want to go through a few slides on this as well, because this is a big safety issue for our kids. It is the second leading cause of fatal injury for infants, so putting a little time into it. We have a great solution when it comes to protecting kids from car crashes, and they are car seats used correctly. The problem is nobody uses them correctly. Almost nobody. Easily 90% of parents are using their car seats wrong and have no idea, right? They're just trickier than they have any right to be. I never expected to be a car seat tech for 26 years. I just assumed they would make it easier and people wouldn't need me anymore. And here I sit. So we have not achieved that particular goal. Generally speaking, the big steps to correct car seat use are asking these questions. Is it the right seat, right, for this child? Is it facing the right direction? Is it in a safe spot in the car? Did the harness get adjusted right? And is it installed in the car right? And all of those have multiple steps involved, but those are like the big categories, right? And again, feel free to reach out to us. You can get car seat checks are available throughout the county, including from us. And you can go to that marybridge.org/car seat checks and kind of learn more about that. But I do have a few more car seat slides. So let's go to the next one. All righty, this is not that new because now it's been over 5 years since Washington's car seat laws were most recently updated. But just in case it's not on the tip of your tongue, a quick review. Okay, and we're going to start big and we're going to get small, right? Big means everyone, including us. And that means all passengers must be properly restrained, right? Even us, we got to wear our seatbelts, right? If you are also under the age of 13, okay, there's more. Under 13 has to ride in the back seat. They're not allowed to ride in the front seat of a vehicle until they are a teenager. Okay. If that child is also under 4'9" tall, and notice this is the one time it's about height, not about age. They need to be in some kind of restraint device, not just a seatbelt. It's got to be a car seat or booster, whatever is kind of appropriate for their age and size. If that child is also under the age of 4, right, they can't be in a booster. It's got to be some kind of a car seat with a harness system on it, right? Under age 4. And then under age 2, that harnessed car seat's got to be facing the back seat of the car. So you can see there's these lines in the sand saying at least this, at least this, at least this, because staying in each stage longer actually is good. Right? Washington law also lets you drop out of high school when you're 16, but that doesn't make it a good idea and the standard to which we all want to hold our families. We are allowed to hold our families to a higher standard than the law requires, and I encourage you to do so, and that includes this, right? Another interesting part of our law is the last piece, which is it actually requires that we follow the car seat instructions. So that's where we can say that hardly anyone is actually following Washington state law, because very rarely are the car seat instructions fully understood and followed to the best of their ability. So that's, again, where you can send them to me. I'll talk to them about all that stuff and I can teach it to them. Or if you ever want me to come and talk to one of your groups at work and go more in depth on any of these topics, happy to do so. Okay, next slide. Basics, just the 30,000 foot view on what good harnessing looks like, right? They're dressed in their indoor clothes, no big jackets or big sweatshirts or puffy clothes, right? All the harness where it comes out of the seat has like multiple slots. There's multiple slots at the shoulder, at the crotch buckle, sometimes at the hip. They got to be going through the right place. And there's actually a nice little graphic there in the middle that, at least for that shoulder harness, the one you move the most, rear facing, it should come out at or below the shoulders, forward facing at or above. That's one kind of basic tip that you can kind of keep your eyes open for. The biggest mistake parents make is the harness is not pulled snug enough on the body. So I love that graphic down there in the bottom corner that shows the pinch test. You know it's snug enough when, yes, you can slide a finger under at your collarbone, right? But if you try to pinch it, a little horizontal fold there in that same spot, you can't. Your fingers should just slide right off. Okay. And yes, I know 2 fingers is for dog collars. 1 finger is for babies. Babies are at least twice as important as dogs, right? So that's what we were looking for. Make sure it's real snug on their little bodies. Chest clip, it should slide up to armpit level. And any kind of inserts that are in there, they should be ones that either came with the seat or are somehow specifically approved by the manufacturer for that seat. That whole category of aftermarket car seat accessories, that whole wall, right, is a no. Every single car seat manufacturer forbids you from using those. So hard no. Okay, next slide. I know this is really quick, but it's just like just hitting the high points for you. Basics on getting it attached to the car. You want it in a safe spot, and your car manual might actually tell you. We know per Washington law, it's got to be the back seat, but your car may say, hey, we like it in the middle. Hey, we like it on the side, right? So we go to the car for that. Make sure it's at the right recline angle, especially again for our infants. We want to make sure they are upright enough to be able to be safe in a crash, but reclined enough that their airway is kept open. So the car seat actually comes with a level line or a bubble or a ball or a color window or something that helps you determine that safe recline angle. So we want you to do that. You're going to want to attach it to the car correctly using either the latch system, like that strap that comes with the seat that hooks onto the car, or your seatbelt. One or the other, not both. Forward-facing kiddos also get a tether, but infants aren't going to forward face, so we don't have to worry about that quite yet. If you have a seat that does multiple things, it may have multiple belt paths. So looking at the picture with the circles on it, right? That's the ones like make sure, okay, we're rear facing, we're going to need to put the seatbelt through this belt path. Forward facing, we're going to have to move it through this one. So there's changes to be made as these kiddos grow. We want it pulled and locked real tight, right? So when you try and grasp the car seat right where the belt's going through and try and slide it back and forth, it said slide back and forth less than 1 inch. Okay, so we want it really kind of tight in the car, and that's something where a car seat tech can help. There's a lot more to it than this, right? This is just the quickest possible overview, but just want to make sure I hit the high points with you guys on car seats. Okay, next slide. Alrighty. So drowning was the next thing on the list when it came to infants, right? So the first thing to point out when it comes to drowning is it doesn't look anything like it looks in the movies. In the movies, there is a lot of noise, there's a lot of calling for help, there's splashing. That's not how it happens. It happens quickly, it happens quietly, and then they're under the water, right? So never leave young children alone near water, right? And again, this is another pitch for learning CPR because this is just a skill that you're going to need to know if you're ever kind of in a rescue situation when it comes to kids. Okay, next slide. A little bit more detail here. Okay, so yes, drowning was that number 3 cause of fatal injury for infants. But if we were looking at 1 to 4, right, the kid's a little bit older, it's number 1, right? So again, this is worth putting time into, especially when kids are young, although teenagers, different talk about water safety. But when our little ones, active adult supervision is the key. Literally touch supervision, not watching from your lounge chair with your book or your phone, seeing them. It's like right there. I can touch you. You're right there. I'm in the water with you. That's right, especially for our young kiddos. Learn the water dangers around your own home. Does your property back up to a pond? Is there a bathtub or a bucket that needs to get flipped over so it doesn't collect water in the rainy season? Do I need to put a toilet lid lock on in my house? Like these are the things you want to figure out where your water hazards are and make sure we block access to that. When it comes to open water, and based on where we live, we have a lot more open water than most people in the country, right? So life jackets are really super important, but I want to point out that the US Coast Guard has said that life jackets cannot fit children under 18 pounds. So children under 18 pounds shouldn't wear a life jacket because it doesn't fit them. And so they also shouldn't be doing things like going on boats or going out there in open water because there is no way to keep them safe with that life jacket. So once they're over 18 pounds, then always wear a life jacket and kind of keep an eye on the sizing and fitting to make sure that they always have one that fits them if you guys are going on or near open water. Swimming pools are different. And in fact, the guideline is do not wear a life jacket in the pool. And one of the problems with that is it trains your child that when they're in the water, they float. And so then when they get there near the water when you're not there, right, or aren't looking, are not worried about jumping in because when they jumped in last time with you and all the times before that, they just popped right up and floated right there in the water. And I don't want them to feel like their body does that. They also, life jackets train them to be in that drowning position that you saw on that prior slide when the kiddo is upright. That's the same position they drown in. So we don't recommend them for pools. We also do not recommend arm floaties or puddle jumpers or any of those kinds of things. So again, in the pool, it's about that touch supervision and being right there. And then as they get older, enrolling them in swimming lessons and doing our best to kind of make sure that they are have all the safety tools that they need for being around water. But no amount of safety of swimming lessons drown proof a child. So always kind of keep awareness when it comes to water. And like I said, we got a lot of it around. Okay, next slide. This is something that I think is also helpful to think about with parents, and that is choosing the correct swimsuit for where they're going and making sure it's one where if the worst were to happen and they were to fall under the water or go under the water, that you'd be able to see and notice and find them. And you can see how based on the color of the swimsuit, it's going to be easier or harder for you to do that. So staying away from things like the blue swimsuits, and so many swimsuits are blue, which tend to be much harder to see, towards those red, orange, yellow, kind of brighter colors for water safety. Okay, next slide. All right, so the last thing on water safety is about bathing with our infants. We recommend using a bathtub or a baby bathtub where you're, again, right there, touch supervision, not the kind that they sit in and kind of props them up into a sitting position. We've had some tragedies with those and do not recommend them. Make sure all your supplies are within reach. You don't ever leave that baby alone, not even for a moment. If you got to go answer the phone or the door, you're taking that baby with you, dripping as you walk down the hall, right? Or don't go. Right? So make sure that they're not ever in there by themselves. Run the water temp before the bath and check for that safe temperature. I'm not going to tell you a certain temperature because I actually am not asking you to test it with a thermometer. If it is warm and not hot, you can use your wrist, you can use your elbow, whatever you need, then that is the temperature that we're going for. But I don't want it running in the tub while the child is in there because water temperature can change really quickly, and I don't want them to get scalded. Same is true for those sprayers that are kind of built in. I don't want you to use those either. I'd rather you like fill a cup with water or whatever else you want to do so that we don't have that potentially scalding temperature coming through kind of on a surprise basis. It's always recommended to set your water heater to limit it so it can't get more than 120 degrees to prevent their super dangerous scaldings, but that doesn't take away the other kind of basic rules and suggestions. As this kind of is leading us into the kind of the burn safety, I did want to throw a few things on fire and burn safety in there. One is obviously making sure that your smoke detectors are functioning. They should have new batteries every 6 months. A lot of really kind of smart folks have decided to kind of like push the idea of when it's time to set your clocks back or your clocks forward, that's the time to change your batteries. So that's a good kind of time to kind of remind people. It's like, okay, let's make sure our smoke detectors are functioning. It is recommended to keep bedroom doors closed at night. It can buy you time in a situation of a fire where smoke has not gotten into the room, and so there's higher survival rates when the doors are closed. Also, we want to make sure the kid is where we thought they were if we're needing to do a rescue. That's another reason to want to kind of keep them in there, and we don't want them wandering around in the night anyway. And all the other burn thing is that hot items often are coffee cups or the stove or things like that. And just kind of be mindful of where you place things and what kids can access. That's part of your basic kind of child proofing behaviors. All right, next slide. Okay, falls. Falls is a big one. And the thing about falls, it is the #1 cause of injury hospitalization for kids. It's 50% of our non-fatal injuries for infants specifically. And the tricky thing about falls is kids can fall a million different ways. Like there's a lot of ways to fall. So we're going to hit a couple different categories here. The #1 risk is a caregiver falling asleep while holding them. So this is going to harken back to my safe sleep chat, right? If you are sleepy, put the baby down in a safe sleep space, or again, pass them along to somebody else because they can get really hurt. We've had skull fractures, suffocations, various things when it comes to falling asleep while holding a baby. Any kind of device that has a harness, use it. High chair, stroller, obviously car seat, various things. It's there for a reason. Little bouncy chairs. It's a good rule of thumb to use that. It's also a good rule of thumb that if a device has a harness, that kind of tells you right away that it's not a safe sleep space because safe sleep spaces don't have harnesses, right? So that's another reason to move them out when they fall asleep. Stairs is a tricky one, and I'll tell you the rules are different depending on the top of the stairs or the bottom of the stairs. And that's because the dangers are different at the top of the stairs and the bottom of the stairs, right? So you can use a pressure mounted or kind of one that kind of is on the floor, maybe even makes a shape that goes around to kind of block access to the lower access point to the stairs, and that is okay. But when you are blocking the upper access to the stairs, which I think you should do if you have stairs, that one actually should be hardware mounted, and make sure it doesn't have a trip hazard, something you have to step over as built in as part. You can see how this one just kind of swings open and there isn't like a trip hazard at the top of the stairs either. So something to be thoughtful about. And just don't ever leave baby unattended on a raised surface. They can roll over before you know they can, and they may do it for the first time in a spot where they shouldn't, right? A bed, a couch, a changing table, wherever that might be. We see a spike in kind of those types of falls as you know, in our infants, and then as parents kind of realize that kids can do this, then we see the numbers kind of start to come down again. But kind of be mindful of that. The only place to leave them on a raised surface is if that is kind of like in their crib right? That's at the proper height so they can't climb out, that kind of thing. Other than that, we don't want to leave them up there. And one that tends to surprise people is the shopping carts because you see it all the time. You see people who've taken a car seat and put it on a shopping cart. But every single car seat manual has a little section on please don't do that. And the reason they don't want you to do that is because you're putting the center of gravity of the shopping cart is now way up and over on this side. And so we have them just tip over. We have the shopping cart tip over. We have the car seat tip over out of it, the child kind of tip out of it. So although it's something it looks like you can and should do, that is not something that we should ever do. You can take the car seat and put it all the way in the cart if you want, or have baby wear, or there are other things you can do, but we don't want to put them up on that little seat on the side of that shopping cart. Okay, next slide. All right, so this is actually the really big thing that we see with falls. I have recently looked through like 10 years of our window fall data for Mary Bridge specifically, and we averaged 33 window fall admissions every year, largely during the summer, as you might imagine. We kind of peak between May and August, but we have had window falls every month of the year. And we have had them as early as 11 months. That's the youngest one we've had in the last 10 years. So yes, it does impact infants, even though you feel like that would be kind of more of a toddler preschooler problem, is if they can crawl, they can access a window and fall out. So there's basic strategies to preventing window falls. This is also important as you work with families who just, again, have this toddlers, preschoolers, really kids like under age 7 is probably kind of a higher risk group for window falls. And that's just blocking access to open windows. I don't want a kid to be able to get to one, right? So I don't want you to rely on window screens in particular. I think there's like a false sense of security there. Window screens are designed so that a bug can't get through it, not a child, right? If you've ever had to take one out, say to clean it or something, you can just boop, and it just pops right out. So if a child leans on it, it's not going to stay where it is. So don't assume that that is some kind of a safety feature because it is not. We highly recommend if you've got an accessible window, a kid can get to, particularly on that on an upper floor, install a window stop. And I've got a couple of pictures here at the bottom of the types of window stops that we have had programs where we have given these out to families before. The key is to whatever one you use, the key is to place it so that it stops the window from opening more than 4 inches. Okay, because that is what we have determined is the amount of space it needs to be close to in order to keep a kiddo from falling out. And that's smaller than most of us would intuitively think until you really look at the data. I also tell parents to be mindful of furniture placement. A lot of you guys do home visiting, so you may be able to see this kind of stuff. You've got a couch pushed right up against that window. Can we change kind of how this room is situated to kind of make it not such an easy access point for a little climber? Teaching kids not to play near windows is important, but it's also important to note that we can't actually rely on them to remember that. That's not a thing that kids are capable of, so we need to kind of set our own things in place. We do find that most kids are supervised at the time of the fall, so supervision is not something that really reduces the risk of this one. So if we're supervising, all we're doing is supervising them as they fall, and we're not necessarily stopping it unless we're right there. We have some resources on our website again, so I'll kind of point you towards those. There's also a really nice website at stopit4.org. That's not our website, that is someone else's, but it has some really good window safety info. Okay, next slide. We mentioned poisoning on the list of things that hurt kids as when they're little, and so a couple of things. Keeping your poison control number nearby, getting the little stickers to put on your phone, near wherever you kind of keep stuff would be good. Blocking access is important, and household poisons is kind of a big category. It includes medicines, it includes cleaning supplies, cannabis products, like there's any number of things a family might have that we don't want the kids to get into. Getting like a lockbox is great. That's fantastic. If you don't have that, I just want it kind of up and unreachable. High cabinet, something they can't get to. Maybe you can put a cabinet lock on these things. Do what you can to kind of slow the kids down from accessing things like that. Try not to call medicine candy. That is also one of the things that we hear is when we talk about medicine being candy for kids, that can set up the wrong kind of expectation in their mind. And we do find that some poisons actually look like candy. These are, like those laundry pods. Kids are putting them in their mouth because they're pretty and colorful, and they kind of look like something they might be able to have. All right, next slide. All right, so we live in a time where parents aren't necessarily looking and asking us when it comes to child safety. They are getting bombarded with messaging around parenting and safe practices on the internet. So I think it's important to share that there are actually some really good resources on the internet, like places where I want you to go to look for information. Safekids.org, that's an international organization just devoted to injury prevention. So there's a good place to start. I really like healthychildren.org. That is the parent-facing website of the American Academy of Pediatrics. So their articles are largely written by pediatricians and vetted by pediatricians. And so that's where I will often go if there is something that I'm trying to learn more about. It's like one of the top places I will look to. Saferproducts.gov is a great place to go for product recalls and base safety guidelines, kind of like from a governmental organization. You can sign up to get on lists to be notified when there are recalls, which is helpful. If you're going to use YouTube, which I know is obviously everyone uses YouTube for a million different things, try to go to the source. Like if you want to learn about how to put this car seat in or see a video about how to put this car seat in, go to the manufacturer of that car seat, watch their videos, not just a random parenting vlogger. I literally just had this happen in my own life in the last couple of weeks. My brother got a new car. He's got a grandchild. He's like, I'm sure I put it in right. I found a video on YouTube. And I'm like, let me just take a look. And I found that, again, the seatbelt wasn't even going through the belt path at all. It was going through a different place that he thought was the belt path because this vlogger didn't know. Maybe he was an expert on the car, but not the car seat. So go know your source. Go to someone who knows what they're talking about. I see a comment just pop up, PowerPoint shared. Email me. I'm happy to share it with you. And if it's not going to get, I think it gets shared out anyway because you guys can access all of the PowerPoints. But if anyone ever wants one of my PowerPoints, you can always reach out to me and I'll send it to you. On social media in particular, there's a lot of there's a lot of content creators who put out a lot of garbage when it comes to child safety. It's a really scary place to go. But I'm going to point you to a couple that are great, right? I really love PD Mom and Dr. Beach Gym 10. I think even she wishes she'd come up with a better name than that before she got really popular. What I love about the two of them is they're both emergency pediatricians. So everything that they've learned, they're learning it in real time from like, this is what's happening with families that we see. And the focus is largely on safety content, although occasionally you'll see other content too. Those two in particular, PD Mom's on everything, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. Dr. Beach Gym, I see largely on Instagram, but may also be on TikTok as well. Shayna Raphael, she's fantastic for safe sleep content. She's actually a Tacoma SUID mom. She lost a child to unsafe sleep. She's very evidence-based. She's very active on TikTok. She's got a gajillion followers on TikTok, and she knows her stuff, and she will only share what the data says to be true, not just kind of scary kind of stuff. And the Jamie Grayson is my favorite probably for car seat stuff. He's a car seat nerd like me, and he shares a lot of really great content. So those are kind of some of my favorites to follow. If you are looking for people to follow or your families are kind of looking for people to follow, there's also some really great private Facebook groups where people can join this group and ask questions. And then there's a lot of comments. And then there's, they can just look at other people's questions and learn things. I would just always say, look for the term evidence-based in the name of the group. So these two I really like. PD Mom has her own group called Safety Conscious Parenting Group, evidence-based. There's also a Safe Infant Sleep evidence-based support group that helps parents with dealing with sleep and infants, but everything is from a lens of safety, which is really nice. I follow them too, even though I don't have young kids, because I'm learning from the kind of questions and what are parents facing right now that might be different than what I was facing when my kids were little. I find it really helpful. Generally speaking, when a group or page shows you who they are, I'm borrowing a little bit of a Maya Angelou quote there, believe them, right? So when you see them sharing something that you know to be unsafe, that kind of puts everything in question, right? If that's allowed on this page, then I'm out because I'm about the data, I'm about the evidence. What do we know to be true? And I don't want to lead parents down a path because, they're trusting that this information is real when often it isn't. All right, next slide. We are just about done. I think I just have a couple more. Do we have a next slide?
Sorry, I seem to be stuck.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, the internet's being wonky today. Well, I'm going to start telling you what's on the next slide. There it is. What it is
There you
these are the brochures that we have created at the Mary Bridge Center for Childhood Safety that we're happy to share with you. You don't have to buy them. I'll just send them to you. And we've hit kind of the big areas of injury prevention topics that, things that we feel need to work on. Safe sleep, water safety, car seat safety. We have one on bike helmets and safe gun storage. We've got one on window falls. And lucky me, it was just dumb luck that the standard multi-care rack card size happens to be exactly 4 inches wide. So look at me, I was able to put a little ruler on there so when they put a window stop in, they can figure out exactly how far open that window needs to be. So feel free to reach out to us anytime if you want to order these, and I'll share them with you. Most of them are in English and Spanish. And the best way to reach out to us is by email. And there is a department email called childsafety@multicare.org. Typically, there are two people who read it, me and my health educator. Right now, it's just me because I'm in the middle of hiring a health educator. So you're going to get me either way. But if you go to the next slide, it will show you also my email address. So if you ever want to just reach out to me directly, which you're welcome to do, I have my own direct email as well. So there we go. And I'll end with another Maya Angelou quote because she's amazing and says, as always, said really smart things. So with all of this, like I said, I hope two things. I hope you knew a lot of this, right? Because you work with families, but I do hope you learned a few things. I don't want to have wasted your time with me today. So I hope that there are some things in there that maybe were new. And that's okay, right? We're always going to be learning something new. So we all just are going to do our best while we can, right? Do the best you can until we know better. And now that we know better, we can do a little better, right? So we love her for that quote. I think that's my last slide. So, and I think I even stayed under time. Yay. You never really know until you give a presentation for the first time how long it's going to take, but I'm glad I have a few more minutes to answer questions, or I can give time back to Jax if we're ready for the next thing, whatever you guys want.
We are actually need to move on, but I so appreciate you, Erin. And if you could please stay on and answer any questions that might come through the chat. You are so brilliant and such an incredible asset and resource for us in Pierce County. We are so grateful to have you. And we're going to move forward, and I would love to present. We're transitioning into our PS, into our perinatal shout outs. Again, if you would like to share a new service or an update on your agency, please email me. I will put again my email in the chat. But these are agencies in Pierce County, serving Pierce County families, and it's an opportunity to learn more about them. So Polly is here to present on PEPs to start with.
Hello, thank you. So as Jack said, my name is Polly Jerkowski. My pronouns are she, her, and I work for PEPS, which is a nonprofit. And we offer peer support groups for parents and have been offering that for 40 years. And the two key pieces of information that I would love for you to take away today is that we are offering, so we have been in King and Snohomish County for 40 plus years. We are starting to offer our peer support groups in Pierce County this fall, so we're very excited about that. And we are looking for community partners to offer specific groups for specific populations. So those are the two key takeaways that I hope you have today. Next slide, please. So just a little bit about PEPS. Again, our mission is to connect parents, to strengthen families, and build community. And we look for building resilient families, connected communities, and equitable outcomes. Next slide. So we started in 1983. The concept behind PEPS is that all new parents need support because parenting is hard. And so that everyone benefits when the parents are more supported, there's more supportive outcomes for the children and the entire family as well. So that by supporting parents, we are kind of reducing stress and isolation and building those more positive outcomes for everyone. Next slide, please. So again, PEPS started in 1983 with just 3 neighborhood groups, and today we serve more than 3,500 families each year. And again, our model is around peer support for parents, so bringing folks together who are in a similar life stage to share their wisdom and experiences and know that they're not alone. Next slide, please. So we're based on the Strengthening Families framework. I'm sure most, if not all of you, are very familiar with that, so I won't spend a lot of time on it, but just that our program is designed to boost that resiliency and reduce that stress and isolation, and each component of our program ties back to the Strengthening Families framework. Next slide, please. Another piece that's important about PEPS is our equity work, and we have an equity statement, which I won't read fully for you, but I just want you to know that that's a key piece of everything that we do, is always trying to think about how can we reach more families, how can we serve more families, and how can we be aware of oppression and biases in the work that we're doing. So that's always an ongoing learning and commitment that we have. Next slide, please. So we know that social support is really important. There's been a lot of recent evidence, and the previous Surgeon General did a whole bunch of work on how parental stress is really huge right now and how social isolation is really damaging for parents in particular. And then especially in the perinatal period, that is something that we want to be aware of, is that 48% of all parents don't feel like they're getting the support that they need. And we know that peer support and social support, again, has that outcome of like, not only is the parent supported, but also the whole family is going to benefit. And that's a place where our society is really lacking in general, and especially in our kind of contemporary society, which is very isolating and very overwhelming. It can be hard for parents to feel connected. Next slide, please. You can just move forward. So we have a couple of different programs. We offer a program for folks who are currently expecting their child. So this is called Connecting the Expecting. Again, it's a prenatal program where folks can connect with other parents in their same life stage. Next slide, please. And then the core program is our newborn groups, which is a 12-week program where folks can sign up and receive that kind of weekly support. So we offer these in person and virtually, and folks can meet with other parents. Next slide, please. So we cover a lot of core topics in these support groups: feeding, sleeping, mental health, balancing work and family. Next slide, please. And our programs, again, we've been doing this for 40 years, and our measurements show that folks feel less isolated and reduce stress when they're participating in our programs. If you could scoot ahead a couple slides, that would be awesome. Yeah, keep going. Great, stop there, please. Oh, can you go back one? Sorry. There we are. So I wanted to highlight our community partnerships, which is an important piece of what we do. We connect with other organizations that work with families to offer specific peer support groups that meet the needs of their families. So all of our materials are available in English and Spanish, and I work closely with the other organization to adapt and change our materials to make sure that it's meeting the needs of the folks that we work with. So each partnership is unique and custom designed, and we work together closely to make sure that the families who are already connected to that organization are receiving a peer support group that works really well for them. Move forward. So again, we work with a bunch of different community organizations. Our materials are in English and Spanish, and then one of the things that I do is work closely with those organizations to try and tailor the program to meet the needs of that specific community. So if you or someone you work with is interested in offering peer support groups to parents that are already, in your organization or in your community, that's something that I would love to talk to you about. Next slide. That's me. I would love to hear from you if you want to hear more about PEPs. I was trying to cram a lot into a short time frame. So if you have more questions or want to have an ongoing discussion, my email is right there, and I would love to talk to any and all of you as I'm trying to get more connected to organizations in Pierce County. Thank you.
Thanks, Polly. Before you go, anything you want to share around how to get families connected to services, and what's this process for a provider that wants to help connect someone?
Right, yeah, this is great. So our traditional peer support groups are a fee-for-service model. There is a sliding scale, and all of that info is on our website. So I can put that in the chat in just a second. And then my community partnerships we work on are free. So that's where we offer our curriculum and program model as an in-kind donation as part of that process. So that's again where I would work with the community organization to kind of custom design something that makes sense for that group. So if you have families that are just in general looking for a parent support group, again, we have three upcoming this fall in Tacoma, and I can put the link in the website if you just want to like refer families to a support group. And then if you want to work with me on, you have a specific population or a specific organization and you want to work on designing something that would meet those needs, that's where I can come in to kind of help with that process. So I'll put those links in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, all right. Johanna, do you mind advancing one? We are moving on to our next presentation with Morgan and Melissa from Quilted Health, who will be sharing a bit about a perinatal pregnancy virtual visit.
Thanks, Jackson. You can advance to the next slide. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here. My name is Melissa Mendez. I've been with Quilted for 3 years, and I'm partnering with Morgan to bring this incredible service to Pierce County. Morgan, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Morgan. My background, I'm a licensed midwife, and most of my history has been as a home birth midwife. I had a practice up in Kitsap County, and have been with Quilted for a few years offering these virtual visits. So we'd love to tell you about them.
Yeah, so I'm sure as many of you know, access to care is a major challenge for pregnant people. This is across the board, across our country, but certainly true in Pierce County as well. And we know that a lot of people face systemic barriers to receiving the care that they want to receive. So the issue is not that people are not interested in getting the care that they want. It's just that there are barriers, systems barriers to receiving it. This is a national stat. It takes on average 26 days to get on the schedule to see an OBGYN. And we know that nationally, 1 in 3 people who are on Medicaid receive no prenatal care in the first trimester. So early care is a service that we designed with an eye toward access in order to really help address this problem and to partner alongside the community in doing so. Next slide, please. So early care is designed to be a virtual one-time appointment that is led by a midwife. Morgan is our incredible midwife who leads most of these visits today. And really it's built around the midwife model of care, which means that we meet clients where they want to be met in a personal and compassionate visit and help them get whatever it is that they need to get started in a healthy journey in pregnancy. Next slide. And that can mean a number of different things. So really the takeaway of this slide, I know it's very wordy, is that there is no pregnant person who should not be in an early care visit if they have or need support. So our clients typically fall into one of 4, apologies for that, categories. We have a lot of people who are not sure that they want to continue on with their pregnancy. So that's the place that we start from. We never make an assumption. There is a very non-judgmental approach to the way that we think about options counseling. We have clients who are pregnant and they're just overwhelmed. They don't know where to start. They've just found out that they're pregnant and they don't know what the next step is. And we're able to support them in finding the right resources for them. We have some clients who might have a provider, but they're scheduled out about a month and are really wanting to connect with a provider sooner. And then we might have clients who have initiated care, but are starting to feel like they want a different birth plan than what they initially intended, and are wanting a conversation to understand what other options might be available to them. And I'll turn it over to Morgan on the next slide to go into a little bit more depth around what is covered in these visits, depending on where somebody is when they get on the call with us.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share what the content of that might be. We do kind of try to gauge that early on in the conversation so that we can kind of focus in on what would be best for us to talk about in light that there are many fabulous community resources as well. And so our slides disappeared, or they did for me. I don't know, but I'll just share. So we do some options counseling was number 1 on there. Yeah, can go into that, can offer resources, can definitely talk about like timelines depending on their gestational age. So that can be like very helpful for people. Can do some general early pregnancy education. There's a lot on the internet, as we know, and a lot of folks are just really wanting to talk to a human. And like Melissa said, that could be someone who actually has found a provider, but it is maybe a month or more until they're seen. We also can do like talking about different provider locations and types. So talking about birth centers, home birth, different hospitals, and what type of provider someone's interested in. So like really doing some like curious questions there, see what someone might be wanting. And then also kind of like urgent or emergent symptom triage. And that is just if that is happening in the visit. That doesn't often use as like an urgent need. But we go through some symptoms. And so if something like arises during the call that we can give guidance on. But a lot of the times too, it's non-urgent symptoms. I mean, we know a lot of nausea, vomiting, certain things can be like pretty debilitating. And so whether that's like finding a referral right then, or we can also do some limited prescriptions. So that can be anti-nausea meds, it could be prenatal vitamins, stool softeners, some of the more kind of basic things that don't need a lot of ongoing attention. And we also do a social determinants of health review. We've got a slew of questions there. And that's why I kind of called in. We usually touch on that with most folks and then can give out other resources. We know that we've got a great maternal outreach program in Pierce County. So that's just like one example of people that can kind of take it past this 1 hour that we have with clients, but can kind of like give a prioritized list of where they could go next to get even more in-depth help with what they're needing. So I think that was that slide. I have been, Melissa, do you think I missed anything from that one?
You did it. I was going to ask Jax, I
Cool.
do have the slides on my computer. Would it be helpful if I shared my screen?
Sure, I can also share my screen, but if you would like to, you can go ahead.
No, it looks like host disabled participant screen. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I can share my screen. Perfect. Okay.
Okay, so it's calling out a few things about the service so far. So we do find that there's pretty prompt ability to schedule. Again, kind of harkening back to access needs. We have a high satisfaction rate and are kind of seeing folks around 6 weeks is the median gestational age. We do know that ACOG has put out a recommendation where they do recommend that pregnant people have a visit with a provider, either virtual or in person, by 10 weeks. And so again, we know that like systems aren't quite in place for that. There are a variety of reasons, but I do like to call out that we've been able to see folks sooner. And want to say too that there's no gestational age cutoff. So we also know that people don't discover pregnancy until the second trimester or third sometimes. And there are also another variety of reasons why even if they do know they're pregnant, that they might not reach out. So just want to know that there's no cutoff for that either, even though it's called early pregnancy care. Let's go to the next slide.
Oh, sorry, that was me.
Yeah, just want to call out a few accessibility pieces. So this visit, we are in network with most insurance companies and all Apple Health plans. If someone is uninsured or Medicaid is pending, we hold on bills. I do like to share that is a pause. It is very rare that someone is paying out of pocket, but we do talk about that off the bat. Also, like I said, phone calls and video calls available. We know not everyone has connectivity for a video call or different types of technology. Also have interpreter services. There are about 120 languages of the service that we use, and easy scheduling. So it's online scheduling. The client can do it themselves. Someone can do it on their behalf with consent, but the clients can schedule that. And it is just a few questions, name, date of birth, email address, just to get that in there. Yeah, cool. Let's go to the next one. Okay, go back to Melissa.
Thank you. So we've been partnering with the Bachelor Center, so really appreciative for that partnership as we look to enter back into Pierce County. And one thing that they asked that we made sure to cover was our reporting. So it is really important to us to make sure that we are understanding how we're impacting people's pregnancies and experiences. Again, we know that access is a major challenge for pregnant people in Pierce County, and we want to make sure that if we say we're working to address that, that the service is actually doing that, and that it's doing that for the communities that really need it most. We all know that there are racial and ethnic disparities in pregnancy outcomes, and we want to make sure that we are keeping an eye on those as well. And so this is a little bit of a snapshot just of some of the things that we're measuring. We measure gestational age at the time of visit. We do a social determinants of health screening for every person that is on an early care call. And then we are able to aggregate that and stratify those results by race and ethnicity. There's a couple other things that we look at, but I think these are really the three that stand out to me as the most important to be tracking on a regular basis. And I bring these up to say we are able to partner with community orgs to provide aggregate data on their clients that they've referred to us that we've seen so that we can share some information and kind of help our partners understand the impact that they are having through their referral channels as well. And then as Morgan mentioned, scheduling is really simple. If anybody on the client knows, this is a really brief presentation, but if anybody is curious about early care, wanting to learn more, I will make sure that my email's in the chat. Would love to have a conversation. But scheduling is really simple and it happens at register.quiltedhealth.com/contact. And then just to mention, to date, over 3,000 Washington State residents have had an early care visit. So we have been doing this in Spokane County, which is where we have our outpatient perinatal clinic, and are entering Pierce County, again, alongside the lovely support of the Bachelor Center. And yeah, if you're interested in partnering or learning more, we would absolutely love to hear from you and just appreciate the opportunity to present today. Jax, I will turn it back over to you.
Okay, well, thank you all so much. I apologize, y'all, for the tech difficulties as we continue to navigate life. While I bring up these next set of slides, any questions for Melissa or Morgan or even for Polly? All right. Well, the last presenter today is Dominique from our Nurse Family Partnership Program. Thank you for being here. And I will run your slides. So tell me when you'd like me to switch it up.
Sounds good. Will do. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dominique Barr. And thank you for the opportunity to speak with you guys today about NFP. My pronouns are she, her, and yeah, I've been a nurse home visitor for 3 years now. So we'll talk to you about the work I do in Pierce County. Next slide. So, Nurse Family Partnership is a proven evidence-based program backed by 45 years of research that's transforming the lives of first-time parents and their children. Many of you see firsthand the challenges families face during pregnancy and early parenthood. So, NFP complements the care that you provide by offering intensive, ongoing nurse support in the home. Next slide, please. So we've got three key goals. So services begin early in pregnancy and continue through the child's second birthday. We aim to improve maternal health and pregnancy outcomes, child health and development, and economic family self-sufficiency. Thanks. So how NFP works, there's 4 different parts here. So experts, NFP parents receive care, information, and advice from nurses, especially trained in pregnancy, early development, and the very unique NFP proven model of nursing care. What's proven, our program has the most extensive and compelling evidence and outcomes in the field. There's 3 randomized controlled trials that demonstrate that our work results in healthier pregnancies, a reduction in child abuse and neglect, improvements in cognitive and language development, fewer childhood injuries, and many more cost-saving outcomes to government and society. Intensive, so our specially NFP-trained expert nurses offer regular home visits to most vulnerable families living in some of those difficult life circumstances, and timely. In the first few years of life, 700 to 1,000 new neural connections form every second. After this period of rapid proliferation, connections are reduced through a process called pruning, which allows brain circuits to become more efficient. Pregnancy outcomes are heavily influenced by prenatal care and a mother's actions towards her baby in the first 1,000 days from early pregnancy to baby's second birthday. Next slide, please. So those first 1,000 days. What happens in early childhood can matter for a lifetime. To successfully manage our society's future, we must recognize problems and try to adjust them before they get worse. In early childhood, research on the biology of stress shows how major adversity, such as extreme poverty, abuse, or neglect, can weaken developing brain architecture and permanently set the body's stress response system on high alert, kind of like that fight or flight. Science also shows that providing stable, responsive, nurturing relationships in the earliest years of life can prevent or even reverse the damaging effects of early life stress, with lifelong benefits of learning, behavior, and health. Next slide, please. So eligibility, there's not too much to it, which is great. So just need to be a first-time parent. And we got to get our parents enrolled less than 20 weeks pregnant. So those are kind of our big two stipulations. Other than that, it's pretty open for eligibility and enrollment. And so a little bit about what nurses will provide too. So we provide lots of health education, going over prenatal care, nutrition, fetal development, things like that. Parenting education, we talk about infant care, bonding, child development, life coaching. We really try to work with goal setting, any education goals, employment planning, as well as mental health. Try to be a resource for that, and a bridge to connections within the community. So touching on lots of different aspects during such a big life transition for our parents. A little bit about the frequency of our visits. Like I said, we try to begin early in pregnancy, go until child turns 2. Visits are more frequent early on. We really try to visit like weekly for 6 weeks so we can really build a solid foundation, build a rapport, kind of like a baseline, build some trust there. And then we might lean back every other week or so. Once baby's born, that's definitely a very vulnerable time, that postpartum period. So we again offer weekly visits for the first 6 weeks, and then we can kind of dial it back. But we also just are really in tune with what our families need. Maybe they're wanting more, maybe they're wanting a little less, trying to work with them. And then we'll go to how to refer. So yes, we'd love referrals. So we've got our website. That's the first link on the slide. That's probably the most convenient, efficient way to do things. It's pretty streamlined there. You can always send an email, as it says, to our MCH services inbox. You can always call the office as well. But yeah, we need referrals now more than ever. So if you can identify patients or clients of yours that might benefit from NFP, make the referral. We've got a whole team of nurses that would love to support families in Pierce County. So we'll try to stay connected to ensure the best possible start for first-time families in our community. Next slide, please. And so here is our team of nurses. We're small but mighty. There's 8 nurses, 2 supervisors. So we've got Megan, who's a supervisor of half the team. She's got me, and then Cynthia and Ellie and Cassie. And then we've got Kelly, who's a supervisor as well. She's got Rhonda, Liz, Elizabeth, Janet. We're all really one big team though. We all get together. We had a little retreat there. I'm to the side. I wasn't there. I was on maternity leave. So that's me and my daughter on our first day back at work, but she's not that small anymore. She's a crazy toddler now. But yeah, we love working with families. So feel free to refer. Yeah, we try to provide more than just a home visiting program too. We're often a lifeline for first-time parents, giving them tools to thrive as parents and individuals. So we've got our flexible, self-centered, or not self-centered, oh my gosh, client-centered approach that allows us to meet the client where they're at while maintaining the adaptability and clinical excellence of the NFP model, and ultimately improving health equity and lifelong outcomes for families in Pierce County. But yeah, if there's any questions, feel free to follow up. Thank you for your time and the critical work that you all do every day as well.
Thanks, Dominique. There's a question in the chat. Can you work with and have experience working with unhoused parents?
Yes, most definitely. We work with all really populations, communities within Pierce County. So we have quite a bit of nurses that have experience with unhoused populations as well. So we work with housing, whether that's applications, whether that's finding housing resources as well. We're open to all clients, so that wouldn't be a problem at all.
Thanks. Any other questions for Dominique? Well, appreciate you being here. Thank you to the four of you for your perinatal shout outs. It's really wonderful to be able to talk about the work that you're doing and hear about the work that you're doing. You know, we are learning more and more in Pierce County that we just need more visibility of all the incredible services that are there, that are here, and understanding how we can help get our families connected to the best services is incredible. And so thank you all for letting us know what you're doing. And those of you who want to talk about your work, please let me know, and we will get you to be able to share it a bit in this space. Before we go, we have an exciting announcement, which is that on October 23rd, you should have gotten a save the date a couple months ago, but we are officially launching registration for our conference. This is a 5-hour conference. We will be providing CEUs, we will be providing lunch, and we will have 4 incredible speakers. We will be welcomed to the day by Chantel Harmon-Reed, the director of the Tacoma Pierce County Health Department, to give us a grounding in where we are in perinatal health in Pierce County. We will have Dr. Abby Plowman from Start Early, talking about caring for our perinatal population with opioid use disorder and best clinical practices. We will have an incredible provider, Dr. Ninaush Birch from the University of Washington, to talk about preventing preeclampsia and the importance of low-dose aspirin in pregnancy and follow-up postpartum visits early in those first 4 days, and talking to and getting your eyes on patients really early to prevent the complications of hypertension in pregnancy. And then we will have an incredible presentation from Siobhan Sagaya, lactation consultant, and she will be talking about working with the history of lactation and its impacts in the Black community, and then working with and mitigating the legacy of harm that has happened to and hurt Black folks in trying to get the right access and the support that they need to be able to feed their babies. And so it's going to be a really incredible day. We hope that you will join us. We do have some scholarships available through the love and care of the Bessler Center. Those are available first come, first serve. And we're really just asking, you as an individual or your agency, if you don't have the funds to be able to help provide your tuition, go ahead and request that. And we just want everyone to be able to be there that wants to be there. It is only available in person. And you all, as the participants here, are the first to see this registration page. We will be sending it out in email tomorrow. And so thank you so much for showing up today. As a reward and a thank you, we're letting you have first access to our conference, and we hope that you'll be there. Um, and last but not least, we would love your feedback about how we can make these days better. There was definitely tech challenges, and I'm very sorry about those. I know it was like weirdly scratchy for a lot of presenters, and then we lost the slides in the middle of Morgan and Melissa's presentation about quilted health. I'm so sorry, and thank you all for your patience and grace as we navigated that. And now we have some time left, and you are welcome to stay here and chat. And presenters today, if you would like to be able to share anything else that you may have missed, you are welcome to use this time. And if anyone has any questions about how to get more involved in the collaborative, I'm here and would love to take your questions. And otherwise, we appreciate you, and we hope to see you on October 23rd, which will be the first time this year that we're able to all be in person. So thank you all very much. Yeah. Question? No.
I just say thank you so much. And I just a quick comment. We would love to share our flyers through here. Is that possible about our resources? Would you make the next time, if that possible,
Yeah,
availability for us to share in the chat?
absolutely.
Yeah, because sometimes we have, like we have families who move to this county or move to Pierce County, and we would love to just share our flyers and cart racks.
Are you not
Electronic.
able to in the chat
No, I was trying to and didn't allow me.
to share an
So
attachment in the chat?
an attachment, no,
Oh, I
it did
didn't know
not
that was
allow
a
me.
setting. So
It
I will
was
try to fix that setting, and you're welcome to email those to me, and I'll send them to everyone when we send out our survey after the presentation tomorrow.
sounds great. I'm filling out the survey, and you can share with me your email. And then you can distribute.
My email should be in the chat, but I'll put it again.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ed.
Yeah,
We
thank
appreciate
you.
it. Great presentation. Thank you. Okay, yes, I see it in the chat. Yes. Okay, I'll be sending you the flyers. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much.
Jax, there was a clarifying question in the chat.
Oh, thanks for Tanya.
They just wanted to make sure that there was, yes, a fee for registration.
Yes, there is a fee for registration. It is on this page. It is $60 if you don't want CEUs, or $85 if you do. Thanks for Tanya. All right, take care, everyone. Thank you.